Hey guys, it's Courtney back from Wonder in English. And for today's video lesson, we're going to talk about all of the useful email phrases that I use when I'm writing work emails. I'm going to give you guys 20 useful email phrases that I use on a weekly, if not daily basis. We're going to talk about how to apologize to someone via email, how to ask for help, how to blame someone politely, and other things. So let's get started. So things that I like to mention at the beginning of the email are normally about their quickness to reply and about referencing something that we've discussed previously. So the two useful phrases I'll give you to start off your emails are, as we discussed, I'm writing to send you. So you can say whatever verb or phrase you want after, but as we discussed, or as discussed prior, these are ways that we start off an email to indicate that we've previously talked about something and we're bringing it up again in this email. So another useful phrase I like to use is, thank you for your quick reply, or thanks for getting back to me so quickly. Because people can be quite slow over email, it's nice to encourage and reward the people that do reply to you quickly. So this is a great way to do that and to use that in the very beginning of the email to set a good rapport between the two of you. If you're asking for help within your email, which oftentimes we are, it's really great to ask them if that works for them. So a useful phrase that I like to use often is, please let me know if that works for you. So maybe you're trying to schedule something with someone, or you're asking them for help and you're asking them a specific question and to do something, and you're giving guidelines and you want their feedback. You want them to say, yes, I can do this for you. Yes, that works for me. Yes, this time scheduled is perfect. So asking for their response is really important in the email. Please let me know if that works for you. Another great phrase to ask for help would be to say, any assistance you could give me in this matter would be greatly appreciated. So there are obviously variations of this, but you're just asking for assistance and you're saying it would be appreciated. So you're basically saying, please help me, but I'm not going to assume that you're going to help me. That's why we're using would, because conditionals are a lot more polite when asking for something. So there are unfortunately a lot of times in which we have to apologize via email. Maybe you messed up, maybe you missed something that you scheduled, or you decided not to hire somebody and you kind of made them think that maybe they would be hired. A lot can happen, a lot of miscommunication can happen. So the greatest way to deal with that is to be very kind in your apology. My recommendation would be to say, please accept our apologies for any inconvenience this caused you. So in English, we love to apologize for any inconvenience. This means that it could have wasted their time, it could have confused them, it could have just set them back in some way. So anytime you might have inconvenienced someone, you should recognize that. So you're saying that you caused an inconvenience. And honestly, I like to apologize twice in an email. So if I say, I'm sorry for this, then I will say again, once again, at the very end of the email, please accept my apologies for the inconvenience. If you need to delay or postpone something or give someone bad news, a great way to do this is to use the word afraid. So for example, you could say, I apologize, but I'm afraid we're going to have to reschedule. Or unfortunately, I'm afraid we're going to have to reschedule. So you're not actually afraid, but this is some word that we use in English when we want to show that we're not happy about it and we're sorry and it's unfortunate and I really didn't want that to happen, but it did. So I'm sorry and this is what the result is. Another great way to apologize is to actually thank somebody for being patient or thank them for understanding. So I read a really great quote about this on Instagram that said, Instead of apologizing for being late, thank the person for waiting for you. And I really liked that. And that's actually something that we use in our emails as well. So you could say, thank you so much for your patience while we sort this thing out. So you're thanking them, recognizing that it's a delay, and in that you're kind of apologizing for the fact that there is a delay. However, oftentimes you might not want to apologize because it's something that you really can't help. It's out of your control. And so this is an instance in which you would want to use this type of sentence. If somebody's asking for your help and you're really not able to aid them, then something that you could say is, sorry, I couldn't be more help. This is the kind of phrase that we would use in order to indicate, I want to help you, but I can't, I'm sorry. Continuing on with the help theme, anytime you're asking for a request and you want it to be done quickly, but not to put too much pressure on that person, a really great phrase would be to ask them to do it at their earliest convenience. Meaning, I want it done as quickly as you can possibly do it, but I don't want you to, prioritize this over other tasks that are equally important. So, can you please do this at your earliest convenience? That's a very polite way of asking, as soon as possible, please. If you want to be extremely polite when asking for a request, it's important that you use specific language. So here are two phrases in order to be polite when asking for something. You could say, would you mind sending me this document? Would you mind doing this for me? So you're asking if they would mind, you're asking if they would care, rather than just demanding that they do it or immediately requesting that they do it. Or you could say, I was wondering if you could, or I was wondering if you would be able to do something. I was wondering, I was just thinking about it. I'm not straight out asking you. And I'm also pairing the wondering with words like could or would. So these are both conditionals, and we use conditionals to be more polite. So I was wondering if you could please turn the air down. That's a really polite way of saying turn the air down. So emails often tend to have attachments on them. So whenever you want to send somebody a document that is an attachment, there are various ways that you can reference this in your email. For example, you could say, for your reference, please see the attached document. Or you can just say, I have attached such and such document. If it's not actually attached, but it's written within the body of the email and you're just copying and pasting it, then you're going to reference it by saying the information below. For example, I send out tons of emails for recruiting and the job description is below. So I'll write them a personal email and then I'll say, please see the information below regarding the job description. Or please see the job description below. Unfortunately, sometimes when I'm recruiting, we can't accept all of the applicants that are applying for the job. So if you have to decline somebody, a great way to do this is to say that we regret to inform you that your application has been denied. So this is a phrase that we tend to use very often when it comes to applications for things. For example, if you're going to college and they don't want to accept you or admit you into that college, they would write something like that. But you can also use it for any other kind of scenario in which someone is trying to pursue something and you're not accepting them. So we regret to inform you, ... Okay, my favorite technique is next, and I think it's quite helpful. Blaming someone via email, telling them they did something wrong, is difficult to do if it's not your first language. So I think that I approach this in a really good way that allows the person to go back and revise or fix what they've done and recognize that there was something wrong, but not actually take offense and, be irritated with me. So a great technique that I like to do is called the sandwich technique. So this is something that we do a lot in English, where we'll start off with a compliment and say, hey, you did this really well. Then you'll put in the negative comment, but there was an error on page 3, section 7. And then you add another little bottom of the bread with a compliment saying, thank you so much, you've been working so hard and I really appreciate your effort. So using that sandwich technique, the negative comment is sandwiched between two compliments. It's a great way to psychologically prepare the person to hear this negative feedback that they need to address. Another great technique with this is to use the passive voice. So you don't want to say, you did this. You want to say, a mistake was made. Notice how there's no subject there. We don't know who made the mistake. That's the kind of language we want to use. We don't want to point fingers and say, hey, you did that. But we want to say that there was a mistake made by someone. And keep it very vague, keep it ambiguous. So right now I'm going to read you an example that I wrote out that I would include in an email if it was needed. So first I would say, thank you so much for your work on this project. Compliment. Then I would say, unfortunately, it seems like there was a miscommunication. Notice here how I'm not saying, it seems like we miscommunicated. It seems like you didn't understand me. I said, it seems like there was a miscommunication. There's no blame there. The current price does not represent what was previously discussed, and our budget does not align with the new price point. Is it possible to discuss this further? Thank you again for all your hard work. I really appreciate your effort and cooperativeness. So the compliment goes at the end. But did you notice that other piece of language there where I didn't use them specifically as a subject? I said the current price does not represent what was previously discussed. What was previously discussed. I didn't say what we previously discussed. I didn't say what you told me before. But that's basically what I'm saying. I'm saying you told me this price was the one that we were going with, and now you completely changed it. But I'm doing it in such a nice way that now we can have a conversation and address the issue. So being able to blame someone very politely is a great way to address the issues and get what you need done, but still have a strong relationship with the people that you're talking to. All right, so the very last two phrases are to sign off or to say goodbye in the email, and these are some of my favorite. The very first one I use all the time when I'm working with people because I want to give them a chance to ask me questions anytime. If anything is confusing for them, I want them to feel comfortable to come to me at any point. So what I say to them is, please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. Don't hesitate, meaning I don't want them to feel uncomfortable talking to me if they ever have a doubt of whether or not they should. I'm saying, go ahead and do it. So it's just a really polite way to say, I'm here for you and I actually care what you have to say if you have a question. And if you plan on talking to them again, you should say, I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. Or I look forward to hearing from you soon. So I know that my students write this phrase a lot, but they actually tend to write it incorrectly. So pay very close attention to the two forms that I used. I am looking forward to hearing from you shortly or soon. Or I look forward to hearing from you shortly. So these are the two ways that you can use it and not any other ways. So be careful with how you're using your ing verbs in this sentence. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful for you guys. And now you can go out and write a ton of emails to all the people that you talk to. I hope you guys have a really great day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can get new videos to your YouTube page every single week. Also, guys, if you haven't already, check out my podcast on wonderinenglish.com. It's a really great tool to learn new vocabulary because I have a transcript of the podcast and define all of the challenging idioms and words for you. So you can listen and read along and learn a ton of new vocab and also just hear about really interesting topics. So I hope you guys have a really beautiful day. Thank you so much. Bye.